This conference will now be recorded.
Of course, not much is lost because last major time we spent on costing money that can be repeated in the end, no issues. From here, the critical part of the year starts. So, what we have done is we have established the need for tools. What are we talking when we talk of need for the tools? On which OS you are working, on which OS the tool works. What are the other variants of that software? What is called as versatility, ability to work in different environments. What are the different types of reports that it can generate? And what are the file systems it supports? What are the hardware platforms it supports? So these are the questions to be answered before deciding upon which tool to use. And what is that we look for? What are the file types that we are going to be analyzed? Now, what are the file types that are going to be analyzed? What are the file types supported? What do you mean by file type? FAT file type, NTFS file type. Right? The file structures are one aspect of it. File type is decided by the extension name given to the file in your computer. How many in your computer? How many file types are supported by your computer? Do you have any guess? Any guess? How many file types are supported by a computer, a typical Windows computer? It runs into hundreds and hundreds of it. We know only a very few of them, right? C is, though we write it as .c, that .c is only known only to the compiler. In fact, it is a text file. .c or .cpp or .java are only text files. You have typed them, remember, you have typed them in editor provided by the compiler in C. They have used actually Notepad for Java programs. That editor window is a kernel, what we call a kernel, or a simulated virtual machine application that is developed that uses internally the edit program written in the operating system. It is the edit routine that is used, right? So programs are not written again and again. Now, coming to the point, all the tools perform 5 different type tasks, and each of them have subtasks also. First one, acquisition. The tool should facilitate acquiring the data. Acquiring means collecting the data. Yesterday we discussed what are the points where from the data. The tool should be facilitating. The tool should be facilitating acquire data from various points. And how to approach we already discussed, from highly volatile to highly non-volatile. This is the range. And the tool should give you the facility to acquire data on the priority basis. Highly volatile like registers, RAM, and internet temporary files, internet cache, wherever over and the traffic is much higher, from there the data is to be collected first, right? The second one, validation and discrimination. Validation and discrimination. Validation means choosing the data that is required. Discrimination means filtering the data that is not required. Right? These two are two sides of a coin called data selection. Next, extracting the information that is required. That means from the selected data, from the relevant files that we have shortlisted in the validation process, in the acquisition of that validation process, extract the information or data required for the case purposes. And then reconstruction of the crime scene. I said yesterday, the purpose of investigation is to recreate the crime scene so that exactly we know what the offender has done, how he has done, so that the judiciary can clearly give verdict in the best manner possible, in the justified manner possible, and then reporting the documentation. We'll study each of them. So that's a need. Right? Then we'll go with the expansion of the next one. What are the tasks performed by the first we'll go this way, right? What are the tasks performed by the forensic tools? Acquisition. What we said, there are 5 functions, right? What are the tasks performed by the forensic tools? So one of the need is that one of the usefulness, how are the tools useful? They should be doing all these 5 tasks. Acquisition, validation, discrimination, extraction, reconstruction, and reporting. We'll see each of them. Acquisition first. Okay. Make a copy of the original drive and ensure that it is not corrupted and digital evidence is not damaged. Digital evidence is not damaged. So first thing, as you said, repeatedly I have been telling, the first thing to be done is that not using the original. We are not authorized to use the original. Make a copy of it using any of the tools, right? Next. So what are the activities here? What are these functions here? We'll see. First one, physical data copy. Physical data copy. What does it mean? Physical data copy means make exact replica of the data that is stored on the computer. This can happen with text editors. That is, this is called as bit copying. Right? Physical data copy means exactly the way it is taken, or disk to disk copying is taken, bit by bit is taken. As opposed to it, there is another activity. It is not opposition actually, another variant of it. Logical data copy. Say logical space. The data stored on the hard disk is called as physical copy, because physically data is available there. When you take exact copy of the disk directly, it is called as physical copy. Now, in the physical copy, the data is scattered along the hard disk in various spaces. It is not stored consecutively. The disk is organized in such a way that each sector stores 512 bytes. And this sectoring or tracking is actually the operating system's work. When a disk is formatted, these tracks are divided into sectors. Right? Tracks and sectors are formed. Each sector stores 512 bytes. Now, what is a sector? A sector is a triangular sectoral part on a disk. Now you can see that sector is wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. As you move towards the center of the disk, what is happening? The narrowing down. Now, but operating system formats or arranges the disk in such a way, formatting tools make arrangement in such a way that the density of data stored on each of the track part in each of the sector in one sector is same. The total is 512 bytes. 512 bytes are stored in sectors. How is this distributed among these tracks? Part of track is the sector is cutting across the tracks, right? From innermost to the outermost track. Data is crowded in the lower part, data is scattered in the outer part. But each unit of track, each part of track stores same amount of data. This time, further, suppose you create 1 KB of file, 512 bytes are stored here. Where is the next byte of information? That need not be the neighbor to the current byte, current cluster allocated. That can be elsewhere, and that is decided by the disk operating system again. Right? So, this arrangement, where to find the next byte of data, is arranged in the file structure. It could be file arranged here. And this data is called as logical. So making copy of the file structures, how the data is arranged to the operating system, how the data is stored by the tool used. This is called as logical data. Need arises. Further, you may be interested in making only one logical partition of the disk which is affected. Say the user says, I have partition, operating system, applications, and data, three partitions. Focus is on data recovery, right? So you will take a copy of that data. It's also called as logical data. Next, data acquisition format. There are various formats in which what format is given. It could be direct text format, or it could be very specific format that the tool gives. See, we saw in how many formats data can be given, right? It could be in Excel format, it could be CSV format, it could be in some other format. Right? Each tool gives in its own format, and these formats, in all probability, should be as standard as possible, as most popular as possible, so that migration is easier. Or focus is on data rather than the application that is being used. What we call is independent of the native environment in which the data is collected. Next, maybe a need will arise, you will have to go for command line acquisition. Now the tool should be providing this facility also. Now GUI applications versus command line applications, which is better? Is it GUI tool or command line? Each has its own advantage and disadvantage. The first thing, with GUI application, what is the advantage of this one? It can do the job easily for you. Your task is reduced. Since GUI is easy to use, it can extract a lot and dump more data. But what is the disadvantage? The volume of data is given more. The amount of data you have to extract is much lesser. You don't have control over what is acquired by the GUI tool. Further, GUI requires a lot of memory space, and time for completion because GUI are slow. On the other hand, command line acquisition techniques tools are much faster to work and much more specific. The advantage is that you get very specific data that is needed for you. The disadvantage here is you need to be very experienced in finding out which data is useful, which data is not useful. Right? The combination of these two are required. Maybe you start with GUI, you find that in a particular area the data matches probably has tendency to establish the purported crime, or the case you are investigating supported, but vague data is given. Then you can go specifically use command line arguments to extract the data that you want directly from the system. So a combination of these two is very good. Next, there should be a facility for remote acquisition also, and then verification. Acquired data is to be verified. How is verification done? Integrity check. How is integrity check done? Message digest. So acquisition has sub-functions. All these sub-functions: physical data acquisition, logical data copying, data acquisition format, command line GUI, remote acquisition, as well as verification. These are the activities done in acquisition part of the tools. Go to the next one. Validation and discrimination. What is validation? Two issues dealing with the evidence, right? First one, validation. Ensuring integrity of data being copied is validation. And what is discrimination? It involves sorting and searching through all the investigation data. As I said, yesterday we discussed how to select the data. If you see that the data you have on hand has no relevance to the case, then mark it as red. What are you doing? You are discriminating, actually, you are discriminating the needed data against unneeded data, not needed data. This is called as discrimination. Okay? Fine. Next, The process of validating data allows discrimination of data. It's very clear. These two are not separate actually. When you are actually validating data, you are actually discriminating, right? So validation has built-in mechanism of discriminating data. This discrimination, selecting the needed one, rejecting the not needed one. That's what is discrimination. Exactly by validating, you are doing the same thing. Okay. Now we'll see what are the sub-activities here. There are three activities. How do you validate? First thing, hash. I'm not elaborating on this hashing process because you already I'm giving overview, right? You have to use most popular tools. Hashing is done on a block, right? There are tools available in most of the software tools. Hashing is also a built-in feature you can use. Simple versions. MD5, SHA-1 are the most popular ones that are used. So it is most usual technique of validating data. MD5, SHA-1 are the most popular ones. Using hashing algorithm on the entire suspected drive and all its files is a good idea. Now, we talked about in the previous topic, acquisition, we talked about physical copy and logical copy. Which is better? Which is better? Unless you are very clear that you don't want the other part of the disk, you always go with physical acquisition. You will not go with the logical acquisition because maybe traces of data will be found there also. So hashing of entire disk is a good idea. How data hashing is used depends on the investigation. How data hashing is used. That means how are you hashing depends on you. As I said, is it logical partition or is it only file partition or it is only a folder or it is an entire partition or is it an entire disk. That sole decision making process is in your hand only. Next, second activity for hashing, filtering. Now, what is filtering? It's nothing but discrimination. We already discussed. Hashing and comparing sections of data is useful for identifying fragments of data in slack and free disk space. Now, when you are taking entire disk space, you are also taking from volatile. Data pockets are available certain part in cache memory, certain part in RAM memory, certain part in hard disk. Now, when there is common data, there could be common data and there could be extra data. So the common data actually helps you in consolidating or identifying what data is exactly required. So compare when you take this copy, you already acquired data from memory, slack memory. I said I'll cover about this slack memory in 15 minutes. What is slack memory? There are two types of slack memories that are. One at the cluster size, one at the RAM size. Right? RAM level, one at the cluster level. That means one at the OS level, one at the hardware level. We'll discuss in detail about it in the next unit. Okay, so this is what is filtering. Filtering actually discriminating. Filtering also is comparing the data with that is access of data that are available acquired from RAM, cache memory versus hard disk or pen drive. Right? Arriving at the common data and maybe supplying the missing data is that is the purpose of filtering. Next one, analyzing file headers. Now, what is file header here? What is a file header? Additional method of description data is analyzing and verifying header values for known file type. Right? For example, when you create a Word file, so let me show here. When you go to your Word file and you click on this icon, right? When you go here, publish, You can publish it. Now, the activities done by you for this file are created here, right? And this information, that is information about the file, is called as metadata or data file in some contexts. Okay. Now, each of the activities you can see has its own override to do. Right? What are the properties on this? View and edit document properties such as title, author. Now, this user has not created. The user, I have only created this file, but the Windows application, with the help of operating system, creates more data about this. What are the activities? From prepare menu, prepare tab in file menu or the window menu, properties. So view and edit document properties such as title, author, keywords. This is extra information. This is header information. It also gives when was the last time it was used, who used it, right? Example with it. Inspect the data, check the document for hidden metadata or personal information. Certain type of data can be hidden in the application also. Encrypting, if it is encrypted, information about whether it is encrypted file or digital signature, right? So these are the, now all this information is metadata. Suppose a printout is taken, when I go to this one, I take print. This is also registered in the log file. That is metadata about file. That is about the header file. So checking the header files will help you in tracing what is being. Helps in further analysis, right? Similar to the hash values of known files, many computer forensics programs include a list of common header values. Searching and comparing file headers rather than the extensions improves data discrimination. You see, there are two types of search. One is with the help of extension. This is document file. This is Excel. You can say, but what if I rename it? You will not be able to know which application is it, right? So its appearance itself changes. That's it. Now, when you go with header information, it is maintaining the data that we need. So that's about validation. So what is studying acquisition? There are further activities to be done. Right? In validation, discrimination, what are the activities? Hashing, filtering, and analyzing the data. Next, extraction. There should be facility to extract. Now, data viewing is for extraction, you have to view the data. Now, to view the data, you have to open in the application. Suppose you are checking the Windows Word, then you have to open that application in Word only. But if you operate Word on the victim system, then you may be making changes to the data. So you might be complaining that you have tampered with the data. That's the problem there. So what is done is most of the application tools, that is investigation tools or forensic tools, facilitate you to view the data. So that is what is data viewing. Software products data viewing mechanism. Software provide data viewing mechanism. Being able to view the data in its normal form makes analyzing and collecting the data use for administration easier. Without opening the Word application, you are able to open the data, see the data, you will be able to find out. Now, how do you find out whether which application was used? There is another thing. Like in text editor. As I said, I'll show you glimpse of it. Next, searching. Key searching. So keyword searching can be used. What is the advantage of keyword searching? Keyword, you give the keyword and search for. What is the advantage of this keyword searching? Main thing is that it reduces, if it is automated, it reduces the scope of false negatives, false positives, reduce false positives by refining the. Now, see, when I give for search, say in a Word document, I need not go to the internet. I give a Control F and search the word. What is the list of data? Now I can go. By refining the search, you can reduce unnecessary data being, say in Excel file, I go with filtering. I use filter, right? I put filter. Many come, but my focus is on one particular component. So what do? I go with another character, another column, filter there, so that the filtering is. What is happening? This process is called as reducing false positives. That means minimizing the or reducing or eliminating showing of the data which is not relevant to the case, but it is data. It is positive data, but it is false in the context of the case. So it is called as false positive. So keyword searching helps in reducing false positives. Suppose you give in the same logic is applicable on the internet also. You give computer forensic notes. You will get 1 million of sites. When you refine your question, computer forensics notes, JNTUH syllabus, maybe the list will come. Right? Maybe the list will come. Maybe PPT, maybe the list will come. But when you use computer forensics, JNTUH syllabus in double quotes, you are making it mandatory. Now what is happening? The number of searches will normally search pattern when you give compound words is R pattern. You give computer forensics JNTUH syllabus, computer science and computer forensics notes JNTUH syllabus. What is happening? Computer is in one word, forensics is another word, notes is another word, JNTUH is another word, syllabus is. So 4 R searches are made by keywords here. Now you put JNTUH syllabus in keyword. Now this has become 1 and this has become 3. So notes JNTUH syllabus, computer forensics. Now put double quote, computer forensics. You don't want computer and forensics, you want computer forensics. So the searches will be reduced. This is what is called as reducing false positives. Set filters to choose only a particular type of file. Indexing is another option. Indexing was studied in detail. So, what is the advantage of indexing? Indexing helps in quick search. Right? So, this is keyword search. Next, decompression. Files to be saved in compressed format. Then you have to decompress it first of all. So, decompression tools, PKD, PKD, but some decompression tools are included in the tools as well. Hashing is the most usual technique of validating the data. MD5 or SHA-1 are most used. Using hashing algorithm on the entire system, this does not have missed sometimes. So that you are not. Decompression is normally it is our normal practice. Compress the data, volume data, distribute for the level. Compress the data, put in a compressed format. Right? For archive. Now, if the investigation process requires that archive data to be or compressed data to be investigated due to a scope creep or the needs, then what happens? Suppose you receive, then what happens is that unzipping is first. So, unzipping should be another built-in feature in any software. It could be zip or unzip or specific tools that are developed. Basically, they depend on squeezing out the freeing out unused spaces allotted at a cluster level and storing the data with new information about the linking. Right? Next, carving is another activity. What is this? Reconstructing fragments of files that have been deleted from the suspected drive is called as carving. Suppose you have edited a file. See the latest version of Word. I'll show. See here, review is an option here. Here it gives you list the word changes made. Right? It gives you track changes. You can see here. You can see a track changes. So this software, this application, word application is improved compared to earlier versions of code where changes made are also. This is exactly from the point of view of who made what kind of changes. And it will be handy at the time of forensic investigation as well. Right? So what is the purpose of carving? Supplying the missing words with the help of extracted words. As I said, some traces could be found in cache, some traces, more details are found in RAM because cache memory is much smaller than RAM, and more details about it are found in the hard disk. Now, from the hard disk, map onto the RAM, map onto the cache, maybe hard disk or RAM will help what is missed in cache, and hard disk will help what is missed in cache memory. This process of rebuilding the data is called as carving. It is a very crafty work. That's why very beautiful in carving is given. What is carving? Molding. So molding the case to suit the investigation process so that the crime scene can be recreated as religiously, as perfectly as possible, as 100% replica as possible. Maximum extent possible. Faithful replica, what we call as faithful replica of the crime enacted by the perpetrator. Right? It is useful to extract data from unallocated spaces. Now, unallocated space, the question arises when it is unallocated space, how does the data get? Very simple, very simply understood. You know that memory is allocated for creation saving of file by the hard disk by the operating system. Memory is allocated in terms of clusters. You have created a file. Say a cluster is 1 KB in size. That means 2 sectors are allocated. Right? You have created a file size less than 1 KB. Say 600 bytes. So in one cluster, that is the smallest unit allocated is one cluster. Right? But you have not fully utilized that cluster. You have used only 600 bytes. Remaining 400 bytes of data of the 1K is unallocated space, unutilized space. This is called as slack hours. Now this part could be important for you for investigation case. What has happened here? Building 600 bytes above this 400 bytes is correct. Right? You may not be creating everything, but you have to have your creative mind. And you should be able to see, visualize what has happened. It's very important. Right? So unallocated. Further, the disk could be there. A sector is unallocated. There are two variants of this unallocation. Slack is unallocated, unutilized. Unallocated is external file was sitting and that file is deleted. That memory is free for use, but that memory location is not overtaken by any other file data. Then that becomes unallocated space. Right? The another type of unallocated space is partition being stored, but data being stored, but left unallocated. So various levels of unallocation. Next, decrypting a file. Now, as you have just now you have seen in properties, right? Preparation of a file, not properties, preparation, encrypt a file. Now, encryption could be used, could be done using public protocols, free to use protocols like PGP, Petticoat Private Protocol, or it could be enablement protocols like DES or public key algorithms like RAS. Encryption can be used. Now, decrypting is very essential. Extracting data from encrypted files is a major challenge. You are not supposed to extract the data unless you have a key. The types of encryption range from platform specific, such as Windows Encrypting File System (WPS) Extended File System, encrypting file system (EFS), to third party vendors such as practical privacy. Simply said, it is you are using your own specific encryption tool or using a publicly available free domain. Tools generate possible keys for encrypted files. Remember, when a file is seen as encrypted file, you'll have to do the file for decryption purposes. The file is not decrypted directly. No tool is there. The tool only can list the possible decryption keys is for decryption keys possible keys, candidate keys. What we call as candidate keys are generated for decryption purposes. Now you'll have to experiment with each of these keys. Maybe the file gets corrupted, so you should have multiple copies when you are dealing with encrypted files. One copy will not suffice for you. Original should be there, duplicate should be there, duplicate, quadruplicate, pentuplicate, like that have to be used, right? Suppose you are using a tool, it generates 5 candidate decryption keys for the encrypted file. Now what should you do? On one file, you go on working the key again and again. Maybe you will get, maybe chances are that the original file itself gets modified because of your actions. Then, so it is recommended that you have multiple copies, each one with a each key being experimented on a copy of it. Right? But as many copies have you made, so much entry should be there in your log register. Your diary is very important. Next, the last one. Bookmarking. Spelling mistake. Bookmark. Now, when you are extracting file, when you are seeing the data, discriminating, validating data, certain data apparently looks to be irrelevant for now, but you have a somewhere in the backlog, somewhere you have an indication that probably this data needs revisiting. Then what you can do is bookmark that particular data. Further, in the validated data, certain data is more incriminating than grading. What you are doing is grading the data from importance point of view. Then bookmark those data streams which are purposefully used, or you want to highlight on something when your documentation is done, bookmarking of that segment is done so that more emphasis relevance of that particular data stream is established very well with the in the context of the case. So extraction has 6 activities. Data viewing, seeing the data first, searching for the data using a key. Next, decompressing tools. Next, carving, that is creation of the case with the help of available data fragments, supplementing the missing data fragments and creating the complete structure of the data. Next one, decrypting. Here, use tools and encrypting keys are generated and you can use them. But in all probability, getting the key used by the user for encrypting purposes always is correct. Next, reconstruction of the case. Now, what does it deal with? It is recreate a suspected drive to show what happened during a crime or an incident. As I said, the investigation process is a storytelling process. Storytelling is about describing what exactly happened. So reconstruction is recreation of the crime scene, what exactly happened at that point of time. Here, the previous steps also help you in recreating faithfully what exactly happened. Another reason for duplicating a suspected drive is to create a copy for other computer investigations. You might need a fully functional copy of the drive so that they can perform their own acquisition, test, analysis. Right? So, what are the sub functions here? Again, we'll see here. So reconstruction is, first one, as I said, disk to disk copy. Yesterday I told disk copy is used, right? Disk to disk. Next, image to disk copy. You have an image that is information about partition details that can be taken onto a disk. Right? Partition to partition copy can be done. Image to partition can be done. Right? As I said, image is exact arrangement. Details about how the data is arranged on the disk, that is image. So disk to disk copy, bit by bit copy, disk copy, X copy, image to disk copy, disk utility tools, not on disk editor. Partition to partition can be done. That is piggybacking copying. If I use the word piggyback, back to back, open one over the other, doing exactly the way it is. Image to partition. And when these are done, how it is done is to be recorded again. I need not tell again and again, recording is very good. The last activity in process perform, reporting. Of course, I need not tell all documentation, creation, that is writing of the report in the exact sequence that happened. And anything written here is like a biblical statement. You will be questioned thoroughly. You will have to testify. You will have to prove that you have used exact methods that are needed for investigation of the case. And you have used only the standard approved tools only for investigation purposes. And you will have to have a scientific basis, because particularly when you see the carving activity, right? The carving activity, you are supplying certain words. You will have to testify yourself why you used that kind of methodology, what was the need for it, what was the need for that approach, and then not only that, you will have to prove that you use the right tools, and all that is part of the report. Right? Now we'll go to the next step. So what we have discussed here is what are the tasks for forensic tools? 5. And each of them: acquisition, validation, extraction, reconstruction, report. And acquisition has sub-activities acquired from various sources. Validation, amplify and filtering of the data. Extraction, carving, decrypting, decompression. Reconstruction, when reconstruction, the data reconstruction requires different kind of data, right? So how data is taken? Matter is the difference: image to disk, partition to partition, image to partition, partition to image. Okay, so that completes this one. Next, we'll go to the next one. Types of forensic tools. As I said, there are 2 types of tools: software tools and hardware tools. Now, what are software tools? 2 groups of software are available. One is command line application, second one is GUI tools. As I said, the main purpose of software tool is to create an image of the trace. Additionally, they may also help in analysis. So what is the main purpose of this software tools is that making a copy of data. Analyzing you do. If it is done, automation is done, it's well and good, but you will have to inspect the analysis done by the software. Also, you have to verify that, you have to ensure that the right analysis is done. So the primary purpose of software tools is to make copy of the data. Right. How about hardware tools? And the hardware tools, that means there are hardware tools also. Gadgets are also there. Right? The investigation is a very costly process. It requires combination of hardware and software. For example, lockers, bit lockers are hardware tools that use software control. Something is embedded in the hardware itself. It runs automatically. So the hardware tools can be 2 types. Again, software tools can be 2 types: GUI and command line. And what is the purpose of them? It is to copy the data, create the data, and they can help in analysis also and additional service. Next, hardware tools are 2 types: Single purpose specific, that means they serve only one purpose. I have given an example here. For example, this SCSI IDE bridge. SCSI IDE bridge. Now there are two types of hard disk. One is SCSI interface. The second one is IDE interface. These two formats are different. You cannot copy a data from IDE disk to SCSI disk directly. The conversion is required. And the bridge is a device which helps you in converting SCSI to IDE. Right. And it could be complete system, that is a comprehensive, full-fledged computing system, what is called as a workstation. An example of workstation is digital intelligence Fred system. It is, what is this workstation? It is a computer, it is a calculator, it is a data acquisition device, it is data analysis tool also, it has software also, it can facilitate networking also, it can facilitate remote acquisition also, it can facilitate live acquisitions also, it can facilitate offline also, it is used for discrimination also. All the tasks are done across the platforms. Such a huge setup is a lab. It's called as workstation. So hardware can be two types: specific purpose tools and general purpose, more wide workstations, general purpose tools, complete systems. Software can be two types: GUI versus the CUI or command line. I have already discussed what is advantage, disadvantage, each of them. Right? Remember that. Next, other considerations for the tools. So what are the considerations? Consideration one, check tools for flexibility, reliability, and expandability. Flexibility, you should be able to use for various versions. If it is, if you can make if the tool works for you for various variants of the software, various versions of the software, that is flexibility. Reliability, the report produced, the data generated should be believable, admissible, acceptable. This is reliability. And expandability, that means if you want to use in another environment, it should be possible. Right? Scalability is another aspect. Second consideration, research on changes in OS and other applications that are. Second consideration will you take? So when you are purchasing a tool, there is a question: what are the considerations that you need to check? So what is the operating system? What is the environment in which you are operating? What is the scalability, expandability? Same thing, 3 points important. So if you write these 3 points for that question, this is excellent. Apart from that, write these 2 points also. The for top types of software and what are the considerations. That completes the concept of the class. So consideration 2, research on changes in OS and applications. Next, in consideration 3, observe earlier and old versions of tools. Now, what happens as the technology is evolving, newer and newer tools are coming. Sometimes this new tool may have not given or may have done away with the facility of working older systems, because that is absolute. For example, today, if you want a tool that will do analysis of Windows 3.3 or Windows 3.3 or Windows for workgroups, which tool can do it? Maybe you will not find that tool, right? That's a problem. Suppose you have on the hardware side, another example, day-to-day example, which some of you might have faced. Say a 7 years old laptop is with you, and you find today that the RAM in that laptop is not sufficient for you, want to expand it, you will not get that RAM. That has been absolute. Now, from investigation point of view, someone might have used older systems. Suppose the case goes back to 5 years, 7 years, 3 years. It may happen, right? Then 5 years ago, what software, which software was used? Particularly this case is very important for software development industries, which depend on technological innovations. Earlier versions are done away with, newer versions are. Now the data created with older version requires older environment. So as an investigator, you should have collected, that is different older version collection should be a hobby for you. Like someone has currency collection, someone has stamp collection, someone has postcard collection, someone has songs collection. Your hobby should be investigator. Your hobby should be collection of older versions of software and preserving them because they are needed at some point of time. So these are the consideration. That's about tools, right? Of the 19 questions we have completed now answering 5 questions that have come on this topic. Okay. Next, we'll go to the another topic. Email investigations. Now, as I said, email could be the main product of investigation, or it could be a byproduct in the process of investigation, or a hero in the process of investigation, or dominant character role in the process of investigation. Suppose someone gives, you started the local investigation, you find that an email was used. Then your scope increases to what happened in the email environment. Now, how does an email work basically? It is based on client server. It is based on client server. There are two types of email. One is public domain email, the other one is private domain email. For example, I have two email accounts. One is nmsdesai@acc.ac.in. That is my private account. All the activities done by me using that account are stored in the server or in the computer. Right? Mails. The second one is public domain. In the public domain, I have a Gmail account which I interact with you. Right? That Gmail account is a public domain account, and that data is stored with the owner of the service provider who is giving the service. Further, when I use email service, I am sending mails, receiving mails, inbox, outbox, spam, folders, various folders are there. Where is this data? Is this data stored on my computer or on the server computer? In your Gmail, all of you have Gmail account, right? Is your inbox and outbox, or your inbox, outbox, and various folders that you have created, are they actually on your computer or the server of Google? Which one? Where is your mailbox? In your tab or Google server? Where is it? Any answer? Any guess? How can you say that? What do you have put? Normally Google server, fine. Home? Is your name home? You have put home? Fine, that's okay. Right? Google server. How can you say that? Have you verified it? Now, I am only asking you how observant you people will be when you are using your computer. It's not that मेरा काम तो हो गया मैंने कर दी. No, we have not yet. That's very nice admissions for the appreciate you. When you open now let me tell you very simple. Keep observing changes that go on your screen when you are using the system. You are not like anyone else. computer science guys, computer science persons. It's a change that happens. Now, let me tell you, let me answer you. It's very simple. It doesn't require big technological knowledge for that. When you open mailbox, all the mails are shown. At the bottom, you can see, particularly in case of Google Drive and Gmail also. Any email for that matter. Right? If you have G Drive account also, then it's also. For that Gmail account, it shows how many mails are there, how many are shown. That is seen in your inbox. Inbox is listed. Side in your folder. At the bottom, 5% of capacity utilized, 5% of 25 GB used. Where is this 5 GB? This 5 GB is given by Google to you free of cost to store your mails. That means your inbox and outbox, your interface, client interface is actually on the server. Right? Google Drive also, Gmail also. Even Gmail also at the bottom you will see 3.7% used, 8% used. It gives you. Yes, that's now whenever you get that one, you should understand that you are actually being fooled. You are given a fooling screen, which is again a virtual machine. That server side screen is replicated on your screen with the help of client server architecture. You are actually working on that computer, not your computer. That's why you will not have a copy. Okay, now that's important. So but what happens is that in the closed environment, in the public domain environment, it's like that. In the private environment, like as I said, ACE engineering college domain, there are options. My data can be on my computer or it can be server. When it is on my computer, a copy will be maintained in the server. In case of public domains, it is not. Okay, it is not. Only single copy will be there. It will be in the server. You will not have unless you save it. So a facility that is given email service in email services is save the mail for record purposes. Save the mail is a facility that is given. It will replicate faithfully the screenshot of it and give you previously. You can save it. Right? The forward, the copy, the mark, all these are additional facilities given, which you open next time you will see it. If it is a private domain, if you ask for, now is it possible for your mails to be copied on your computer when you are using public domain mail like Gmail? Is it possible? Is it possible to have a copy of your mails on your computer when you are using public domain mails like Gmail? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. You have to purchase. You have to pay money. Then a copy you will have that flexibility. Otherwise, you will have that right to ask. Otherwise, it's not. Fine. Now we're going to we'll see how a client server architecture looks. As I said, I will not be dealing completely technically with this architecture. They already studied, right? Let me expand this. This diagram I have put in your notes also, need not worry. Right? Now, you see from investigation point of view, this is the sender user agent. You know that client server architecture server is elsewhere, sitting other side. We are showing this side, right? Sending user agent. This is the what we call as client software, and what we call it as user agent. What is user agent? It provides entire screen for your communication purposes, the inbox, outbox, spam, and then what to do, the address book, and all the features that you want. The default box that is displayed is inbox. You can set it to display outbox also. That is in your end. That's settings, right? We are not going that deep. That is not our purpose also. Right? We want to know where can be there. So what does sender do? Using his user agent client software, he sends the mail. He puts the address and then sends the mail. Message transfer agent is, where is it? Message transfer agent? It is on your side only, client side only, right? Client server message transfer. You can see that MTAs are two, one on the server side, one on the client side, receiver side. In between there is server. That is, the service provider is in between. This entire environment is being supervised or monitored by the server, right? Now message transfer agent looks at the header. Header is not encrypted anytime, right? Looks at the address, puts it onto the router server, right? And using simple mail transfer protocol, message transfer takes place here. Now it becomes email. As long as it is there, it is called as email text that is being created. Once it is handed over to the MTA puts it for transmission purposes using SMTP, and it is sent on the public domain. Through the server, it goes to the other side. The other side, MTA receives, checks for the header, checks for the mail, and checks it and delivers onto the computer receivers. And various mailboxes, various mailbox is maintained here. Various mails are done. Here also mails are sent from the sender side. Right? Now, when you are investigating, which are all the points you will have to check for traces of email? First point, user agent of the user. There could be a copy. Suppose this one is deleted, message transfer agent will have the information, and the activities done by these two are entered in the email log register. A copy of it is maintained in the log register of the system. Another copy of it is maintained in the activities done by you is maintained in the Windows register. So three sources. Next, SMTP. This SMTP is the server. A copy is maintained in the server of the service provider. Normally, public service providers delete the file after 90 days. After 90 days, after 90 days, you may or may not get, right? General period. But if you want anything, you will have to tell. Normally, what happens before getting deleted, what will happen is a backup is taken, archives are done. Maybe chances are that you will get deleted. Right? Then, so one copy is available here, and then another copy is here. Message transfer. Right? Now, what kind of fraud can take place? So this is about client server, right? So how many copies? Where are the copies available? At the sender side. Sender mail transfer agent, SMTP server. And then again, SMTP is a protocol. Routing protocol is it. Router may have information also, right? And then server of the service provider, and then MTA of the receiver, and then mailbox of the receiver. 6 points a copy is available. Now, what can happen? Suppose I have modified intention. Suppose an offer is given to me by a company. By within this date, you will get 20-30% discount. What I do is that I take that mail, change the header information, and I take a copy of it. And go to the office. Please give me. I have this mail. Please give me the information. I recently me. I do so. The time is over. You say that I have received in time. Any kind of email fraud, right? So what is happening? Replay is taking place by manipulating the header. But there are certain aspects of header that are not changeable. For example, every email generated has a unique ID, which is not done by the user's agent, it is done by the server. It is not manageable. MTA creates an ID, unique ID for every mail that is sent. And that cannot be tampered with. So even if we change the date and timestamp, the ID cannot be changed. They will be caught. Right? That's what it happened. In fact, there was a case. So that's about email. I mean, client server architecture. In another 10-15 minutes, we'll close. Fine. So using specialized email forensic tools. Now, certain tools are available for making copy of it. As I said, making copy of it from various sources. So specialized tools are there. Understanding email servers, that's what we have done so far, right? Investigating email crimes and validations, violations. Now let me go with the case. How to detect more information about email? I'll go to also through my mail. How do you find whether the mail is phish or not? I'll show you a small demo, right? I'm showing through my email. And after that, we'll stop. Okay. We'll continue tomorrow. Anybody can get my password. Very simple. It is 14 Now this is my mailbox. Right? Let me take. You can see this is my window, right? Let me go to the bottom here. Let me check. You can see at the bottom 13.29 GB, 78% of 17 GB used. My server is I am allocated, my client is allocated 17 GB free space by Google. I have already used 78% of it. Of course, it's another matter that I have not deleted any junk files. Right. Now, I'll take this mail. Okay, let me take. Okay. Chago investor. Let me see this one. This was a mail sent to me by someone which I don't really remember to have subscribed for this. Right? How did somebody get my mail ID? I will not communicate. In my pursuit, I have a free mail that I have given details to Google. Google has shared with the business partners. I cannot stop it. That's why we get these junk mails. Now, my interest is investigation. This appears to be coming from a company, right? I can unsubscribe here if I don't want it. That's not my question here. I want to see more information about this mail, right? Let me check this here. Go here. There are 3 dots. You are able to see, right? Check here. Go with show original. In Google Mail, you will see it as show original. What is that you have to do? To check whether if a mail is phished mail or not, or that is phishing actually. We'll see how it can be seen, right? Show original. In Rediff mail, there will be a header card at the top at this point. In Rediff mail, there will be a tab called header information. In Hotmail, Yahoo Mail, they are in another fashion. In Google, you go with show original. Now you can see the screen. You can see that copy to the clipboard. A copy can be made. You can make copy of it. Now let me see here. So this is the original message that was sent. This message ID cannot be changed. This is unique, created by the container. And the time is given, right? Who is the sender? Who has sent it? And what is the mail server that is used? Mailpoet.com. This is Google's Mailpoet. Mailpoet.com is a software that is used. And to whom it is sent? My nickname is NMSD and it is sent to me. Fine. What is the subject? Header information is produced here. You can see it. And what is this SPF? You see here. What does SPF mean? Protect. Help to prevent email spoofing with SPF records. Right? Spammers might send emails. So what is SPF? Sender Policy Framework. When I purchase commercial software, I need to fill up. This is paid service. In most of the services, the paid service where I can filter unwanted files, right? So, SPF text report. It's additional feature available. Again, DKIM. What is this DKIM? It is past. It has come from this fellow, right? You can check in your mail. What are these? I don't know. Now you see here, delivered to. You are able to see the screen, right? Though the font is smaller, I am highlighting it. Delivered to mail ID, my mail ID. Fine, it is to me only. Received by, what is this? Mail ID, right? And then my mail agent. This is my mail MTA SMTP protocol. This is SMTP ID. This is ID. Right? And this time it is used. Fine. When was it received? Sunday, right? And then what is the Google server? What is the source? From Google SMTP server, it is routed. So the ultimate, the final server is Google. From there, it may have gone somewhere in between. You see, all these are in between services. That is, what are the hops taken by this? This can be, this cannot be modified here. This cannot be modified. This cannot be modified here. So seeing this, maybe I'll make change here by making copy of it. Right? So I can make changes my copy here. I can redirect it, but various sources are there at bottom. You can see MIME protocol is used for this one, right? These are the servers, various servers it has gone through. Through this, I can find out, right? Through this, I can find out, and these are all the features that are, you can see, right? See content, transfer, encoding. You have studied in computer networks about this content type, text. All this is information about the mail. And this part is, as you can see, unsubscribe, subscribe. You can't see this well. This is user facilitation, bottom part. And this is information. What are all the paths it has taken this entire switch? Now you can change there, but not this, because these have not come from one point. They have come from multiple points. This is how it is. You can open your mailbox, one of the mails, and check, try to check, right? How it happens. That's how we see it, right? Let me close my mailbox now. So So phishing is checked by looking to the header information. How do you see header information or more information, metadata about the mails? Go to the three dots on the right side, check on see original. You will see your HTML code also. There is a facility, download that file is also there. It will be downloaded to the record. Right? Next, exploring the role of client server. We have already seen it, right? Next, the last one, exploring the role of email investigation. There was a question, what is the role of email? Email has become almost default communication system with its popularity has also opened. This is precursor. It's important. Client's email may be used, right? Client's email may be used to commit R, spam, spoofing, phishing, trafficking, terrorism, and many more. While some of these are menacing, that is disturbing. See, as you say, I've seen 78% of my disk space is utilized already, but hardly 10% is mine. Remaining 68%, I don't have time or patience to delete all of them. It's nuisance to see all the junk means. That is menacing. Others are very serious, while some of them are menacing and do not attract legal action. Some that are very grave in nature. Forensic investigation of emails requires investigating cases of spoofing, phishing, etc. This requires that investigator know how mail system works. So you know how the email system works. Where is the content stored? Where is the content stored? This is another important point. Local system or web browser based storage. A forensic investigator might be asked to examine the phishing email. Resources to looking up email and web browsers to verify whether they are associated with spoofed message. Many times, the internet links in a phishing email appear to be correct. Right now, not only that, not just by looking at your internet log is to be seen, right? Your Windows registry log is to be seen. All these put together extract the data. The role of email in is but predominantly for phishing or returning or some mail like recruitments for terrorist activities. Right? All these are very serious. So that's it for today. We'll stop here. How was the class? What we have covered is necessity and need of tools, features of tools, activities that can be done with tools. Second one is email investigation. We have studied of client server architecture and what can be done with email and where are the mails to be found, where is the data to be found, how to find extra information for investigation purposes to find whether the mail is fake or genuine. We'll stop here, continue tomorrow, right? Shall we stop here? You are taking more time. This is a study that I have taken in these 3 days. My friends,